Hi guys, I'm Ryan. I'm 17 years old. I was in a coma for 5 months and 12 days. It was such a strange experience. I shifted between a dream state and reality. After a while, I could hear what people were saying around me, but I couldn't react. Something incredible happened while I was in the coma. Let me start from the beginning. In ancient Greek, the word coma means deep sleep, but patients' experience is very different than sleep. The body turns off consciousness to heal itself, minimizing brain activity. It's kind of like hitting restart on a computer. You get fed through tubes. Some patients are attached to a machine to breathe well. This machine feeds the oxygen your body needs straight to your lungs. So, how did I end up in a coma? I remember a falling sensation, then the sound of hitting something before losing consciousness. Then I was sucked into a vortex. I spun while falling all the way down. Voices became distant. The worst part, the deeper the vortex took me, the darker it got. Suddenly, the spinning slowed down. I remember thinking, is this what death feels like? Then a deep silence and absolute darkness. Now I know that was the moment I slipped into the coma. Even though it felt long, it took just 15 or 20 seconds. I remember nothing from the first few months. I don't know how, but one day I began hearing voices. At first, it was all muffled. Sometime later, they were normal. I could hear things happening around me. But soon, I realized the sad truth. I was still in a coma even if part of my brain was awake. I tried opening my eyes, but I couldn't. I wanted to say, I can hear you, but I couldn't move my lips at all. I wanted to move my hands and sit up, but I couldn't move a muscle. It was like an invisible force was stopping me. One day, a group of people entered my room. I knew from the way that they talked, they were doctors. They were talking about 2 patients. One was me, which meant that there must be another patient in the room. They compared our conditions. They spoke openly because we were both comatose. It sounded like they didn't think I would come out of my coma. According to them, there was no hope. It was the end of the road for me. They said the other patient would recover soon. They even decided which patient would take my bed after I died. I wanted to say that I heard them, that they were wrong about me, but it was just impossible. My mom and my girlfriend Piper told me what led me into a coma. My mom visited me every day. She'd cry silently while caring for me. She would change my clothes, wash me with a cloth, put lotion on my bed sores. Nobody in the whole world loves you like your mother. That's for sure. She'd murmur the same things as she cried. You didn't want to go to camp. I made you go so you would socialize. You just wanted to relax. You didn't want to stay in a tent. I'm responsible for all this. It's my fault. I wish I hadn't made you go. My mom was talking about a camp, but I didn't remember anything. Those memories were gone. Did I go to camp with my friends? What happened there? Did I fall off somewhere? I tried, but I couldn't remember being at a camp or anything that might have happened there. Piper answered all of those questions for me. One day, I heard her voice. She was right by my side. She was caressing my head. Please forgive me. I stayed away because your mom is so mad at me. I was just too scared, she said. She kept talking like she knew I could hear her, confessing her sins. I couldn't remember the things she spoke about, but now I knew what had happened. We went camping on a school trip. When Piper was showing me a photo on her phone, she got a text. It said, "Will I be able to see you tonight?" I took her phone and saw that the message was from a guy called Caleb. He was at the camp too. I should have asked Piper what was going on, but I was too angry to think straight. I attacked him and we started fighting. When Caleb pushed me, I fell down and hit my head on a stone. That's when I lost consciousness. Piper knew it was her fault, but she was here without shame. If only I could open my eyes and sit up. I would spit in her surprised face. I would say, get out and don't ever come back. It was impossible, but I knew when I came out of the coma, that's what I'd do. At first, I really enjoyed hearing what was going on around me. At least I felt alive. But the months of no improvement in my condition started to bug me. Even the doctors started visiting me less frequently. Who knows, maybe they weren't happy because they guessed wrong. I wasn't dead and the other patient was still in a coma. One day, while I was really bored, I overheard a weird conversation. I'd never heard anyone visiting the other patient. Now there was a man and woman on that side. The man said, "I'm bringing the money back to your place tomorrow. I thought I could do it, but I can't. You should drop it too." She was really mad, speaking through clenched teeth. "Nathan, you promised me. I sold everything to get you that money. If you're not going to do it, then show me. I'll do what needs to be done. He deserves to die." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was I dreaming? Was she really talking about killing someone in a coma? Nathan gave in to her insistence after a while. In a low voice, he said, "This switch controls the oxygen. You can decrease it by turning it towards the left. Look, see that small device on your husband's finger? It measures heart rate and blood oxygen levels. If the heart rate slows and the oxygen levels drop, the alarm will go off. You need to turn the alarm's volume down before bringing down the oxygen levels. Nobody will check it. Even if they do, they'll think a nurse made an honest mistake." I was listening in awe. Was this Nathan guy a doctor? He kept calling the patient your husband. Was this woman the patient's wife then? Why did she want to kill her husband? But more importantly, was she actually going to do it? Suddenly, life was exciting. I was listening to them anxiously. During that period, my consciousness was coming and going. Sometimes I would spend days without hearing a sound. It was like drifting in and out of a deep sleep. Maybe, as the doctor said, I was at the end of the road. I was really scared, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fell into the vortex one more time. The sounds became muffled again. I spun endlessly in the vortex and completely lost consciousness. I clearly remember the moment I woke up. My eyes sprang open. I hadn't seen light in months, so I immediately closed my eyes. I heard my mom scream with joy. She'd seen my eyes open. She shut the curtains right away. I opened my eyes again. I smiled at her. She said, "Welcome back, sweetie," and started crying. The room was filled with doctors within 10 minutes. I wasn't sure I could talk yet. I felt like my voice wouldn't come out. I just kept on smiling. A few days later, I recalled a dream from my coma. This whole experience was so weird. In my dream, another patient's wife wanted to kill him. A doctor named Nathan was helping her, but in the next bed was a patient who was only a bit older than me, not old enough to have a wife. I was now speaking comfortably. I told this dream to my mom, laughing. She froze when I stopped talking. Apparently, the guy in the next bed had died a month ago. The new patient had only arrived a week or two ago. The deceased patient's wife would visit on occasion. She would sit and stare at him silently. What about Nathan? My mom said there was no doctor named Nathan, but oddly so, there was a caregiver with that name. My mom couldn't help herself, and she told the hospital directorate about this. This wasn't good for the hospital, of course. They said they would look into it, but they didn't do anything. They didn't even come to talk to me. But my mom didn't give up. When the police got involved, the truth came out. The patient in my room had been cheating on his wife. One night, he and his girlfriend were in a car accident. The girlfriend died, but he fell into a coma. The wife wanted revenge, so she planned his murder. She made a deal with a caregiver, Nathan. But Nathan backed out. He decided he couldn't kill someone, even in a coma. When she said she would do it herself, he told her what needed to be done. That's the part I had witnessed. One day, she came by towards the end of visiting hours. She played with the settings of the oxygen machine so that he'd get less oxygen. Nobody knew about it because she had lowered the volume of the alarm. Everyone had assumed it was just a coma-related death. The wife and the caregiver had to confess what they had done because of me. And they were both arrested. See how important loyalty is? Why did I and the man who died go into a coma? Yes, cheating. If he and Piper were loyal, none of this would have happened. I hope you found my story interesting. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Hi friends, I'm Julie. I accidentally discovered my family's biggest secret. It's such a huge revelation that our lives will never be the same again. It all started when my older sister Jenny moved in with us after leaving her husband. I had no idea at the time that our marriage had been a mess for a while. When she found out that her husband Chris had cheated on her, it was the final straw. One morning while he was sleeping, she took her sons and left him. My sister is a housewife. She's never had a job in her life. She took her kids and moved in with us because she had nowhere else to go. At first, she told us it would be temporary, but after a year and a half, she is still living with us. I think she thought she'd get back together with her husband, but they just kept fighting for months. They weren't able to reconcile. All that fighting not only caused their marriage to end, but it also messed up our family because I saw a text message from my sister's husband when they were arguing. I was curious about what he meant with that message. When I looked into it, I found out about my sister's incredible secret. Let's rewind and go back to that evening. Now I see that by then, my sister was starting to lose any hope she had of keeping her marriage going, and this had made her very hostile. She wasn't speaking to my mom or me. She wasn't taking care of her kids. She wasn't eating. She wasn't sleeping. All she did was fight with her husband on the phone or through text messages. Yes, their marriage was in terrible shape. Chris was cheating on her. He didn't want to get back together, but my sister was still madly in love with him. She couldn't imagine her life without him. One night, I was putting her kids to sleep. The younger one asked, "How many days can a person go without food?" I knew why he was asking that. He heard my mom telling me, "Your sister didn't eat again today." Naturally, he was concerned about his mother. I gently rubbed his head. "Nothing's going to happen to your mom, because I'm going to go and make her an amazing sandwich. No way will she be able to resist it. She'll eat the whole thing," I told him. That put him at ease. "I want that same amazing sandwich in the morning too," he said as he closed his eyes. So right after he fell asleep, I went to the kitchen and made the best sandwich I could for my sister. I even added a birthday candle on it to make it cuter. I knocked on my sister's door. When she didn't answer, I cracked the door open and looked in. She had fallen asleep. I went into the room to put a blanket over her. I left the sandwich next to her bed. She was clutching her phone. Maybe she had dozed off in the middle of an argument, exhausted from lack of sleep. I smiled. She seemed so cute to me at that moment. I was still a baby when my sister left home. We never had a close relationship. Actually, that was quite normal because we didn't really spend that much time together. She didn't know me at all. That said, I can't really say her relationship with Mom is all that great either. She used to visit us at most once a year and called us every month or so. After Dad passed away, she started calling Mom more frequently. I think she was trying to be supportive, but our relationship didn't change much. She only held me and cried long and hard at Dad's funeral. I was thinking about all this as I was watching my sister sleep. I took the phone from her hand. I put it on her nightstand. Just as I did that, the phone screen lit up. She got a new message. Without meaning to, I read it. The message was from her husband. "Enough! I never told you to leave your daughter for me," he had written. While I was still processing this, another text from Chris came in. "Don't give me that guilt trip again. You didn't want your daughter. You made me your excuse. We both know that." I was so shocked and upset when I figured out what Chris was saying. Apparently, besides her 2 sons, my sister also had a daughter and she had given her up for adoption. Since she was blaming her husband for this, she must have abandoned her daughter to marry Chris. I accidentally learned something incredible. I switched off the light. I ran out of the room. I was still in shock when I lay in my bed. I thought my mom definitely knew about this, but she never told me. Normally, she loves talking about my sister, and she usually criticizes her. For example, she used to say, "Your sister's marriage wasn't going well since day one, but she still had those 2 babies. So why did she never say she had another child? Maybe my father didn't know, and she hid it from me because she was scared he would find out." This accidental discovery changed my whole perspective on my sister. How could a person do this to her own child? How could she abandon her for such a selfish reason? How old was her daughter right now? What was her adoptive family like? Did she know who her mother, my sister was? Could I find my niece? As her aunt, could I give her the warmth that her mother denied her? Now I was thinking about these non-stop. I wanted to find this poor child whose existence I had just found out about and give her back the life that her mother had taken away. But to be able to do that, I needed more information. I decided to talk to my mom and get answers to my questions. I was going to find my niece no matter what. Since my sister and her kids were always around, I had to wait for some time to talk to my mom. After a while, I got the chance I was waiting for. My sister wasn't able to look her sons in the eye. The poor kids were still trying to find out what was going on. They had moved into their grandmother's house. Their father wasn't around. Their mother was on the phone, screaming all the time. My older nephew, Noah, was about to start high school, but he didn't even know what city he was going to be in. He was already a shy kid. Now he had become even more withdrawn. I hadn't heard a word from him in days. My mom was naturally sad for the boys. There was a water park in our city. When I was younger, we used to go there every month. My mom thought of taking the kids there. I was supposed to go along to help her out. The following day, we were at the water park with the kids. Noah went for a swim in the pool. The younger one was playing on the slides. Mom and I sat at a cafe from where we could see the slides. I was looking forward to talking to her, but I didn't know how to start this conversation. Finally, I blurted out, "Mom, does my sister have a daughter?" My mom was stunned. She stared at me. "What are you talking about?" she said. I told her about the texts I read on my sister's phone. She was visibly stumped. She said things like, "Don't be silly, there's no such thing, you must have misunderstood." But she was so panicked that I could tell she already knew about this, but kept it from me. When I confronted her, she got angry. "You're a big girl now, you're heading off to college soon. Instead of thinking about things like this, do something for your future," she said. She began rambling on so that I wouldn't ask any more questions. When I figured out she wouldn't talk, I had to back down. What was I going to do now? My mother was obviously lying to me. I wanted to find my niece no matter what. Since I couldn't ask my sister, there was only one person left, her husband, Chris. Yes, I was going to ask him. I wasn't sure if he would help me out, but I had no choice. I had to give it a try. I didn't have Chris's phone number, but I knew the name of the car dealership where he worked. I Googled it and found it right away. I called the number. They called Chris to the phone. My voice was shaking. I said, "I'm Julie," and he was really surprised. I told him what happened. "I want to find my niece," I said. Chris said, "Forget about this for your own good." When I said, "What does it have to do with me?" "Go ask your sister. I can't say anything more," he said curtly. I didn't have any other choice. I was going to ask my sister. I went to her room. She was crying. I thought she and her husband had another fight, but this time it was something else. "Mom just told me," she said, averting her eyes. Then I understood Mom had told her that I knew about her daughter. I sat next to her. "I didn't want to upset you. I just want to find my niece and tell her that she has a family," I said, resting my head on her shoulder. My sister started stroking my hair. "You only have 2 nephews. You don't have a niece," she said. I picked my head up from her shoulder. I looked at her. "What do you mean? But you also have a daughter," I said. "Yes, I also have a daughter," she said, averting her eyes again. In that moment, the world started to spin. My ears were ringing with those sentences. "You don't have a niece, but you also have a daughter." "Yes, I also have a daughter." I stared at her in disbelief. I was speechless for a minute. Then I said, "So I'm your daughter?" My sister nodded. "Yes, Julie, you're my daughter." I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what to say. My sister, who I had just found out seconds ago that was in fact my mother, started telling me the whole story. It was my freshman year in college. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I got pregnant by someone I didn't really know well. All I knew was his name, or at least I think I did. I still had the baby, and that was you. I was going to school. Your grandmother was taking care of you. Then I met Chris. I fell in love with him. Chris wasn't someone who would marry a young woman with a baby because he was an adventurer at heart. He wanted to travel the world and eventually settle down in a place that he liked. I left you with your grandmother and left with him. We traveled for 3.5 years. We got married along the way, but we came back because we couldn't make it work anywhere else. When I got back, I saw that you were calling your grandmother Mom. While I was gone, your grandmother had become your mother. I was really sad, but I knew I deserved it. Your grandmother made me swear, "You will never tell anyone that Julie is your daughter," she said. No one else other than Dad and Chris knew. And now you know. Everything came out in the open that day. I was the biggest secret in my own family. The person I knew as my sister was my mother. The person I knew as my mother was my grandmother. So what happened after I found out about all this? You might think it's strange, but almost nothing's changed. Yes, my sister might be my biological mother, but she's not my real mother. A mother is someone who raises and cares for a child. My sister surely doesn't deserve to be my mother. I only have one mother, and she will stay as my mother forever. Thank you for listening to my story. If you liked